Today in this video, I'm going to be showing you this really cool design using GSAP. As we scroll down, you can see how these cards are starting to stack down and fade away behind the next following card. Really cool design, really cool effect. So if we scroll up, you can see how these cards are stacking up again and aligning just where they were before. So let me show you how I did it so you can implement it in your own design. So here in the Elementor page builder, we're going to start off having three different sections. We're going to have our hero, we're going to have our ending section, and we're going to have the section that's going to house this effect. It works really well in this type of format. It can work right on top of the page, but it's best suited to follow a hero section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my first container. This one I'm going to set it to full width, and I'm going to make it a VH of 100. Then I'm going to say justify content into the center, so I'm going to align items as well. Then over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a heading. Here I'm just going to put some example text. Okay, then I'm just going to stylize it real quick. I'm going to change the color down to a darker gray to black, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, so now that I have my first container all set up, I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times. So duplicate and duplicate. If you don't have this navigator, it is this button right over here that'll open up this little navigator window for you. We are going to be referring to it a lot. Now I'm going to go to the last container, and I'm just going to change the text here to this last container. I'm just going to click on this title, and then I'm just going to put here end section. Now that I've done with that, I'm going to click on this middle container where we're going to house this whole effect. I'm going to take out this title. Now I'm just going to make sure I'm in the settings of this container. This justify content, I can take it out, but I'm going to leave the line item centered in the middle. The other thing I'm going to do is going to make sure that this thing is 100% width, and then under advanced, I'm going to take out the padding. The last thing we have to do for this container is if we go to layout and we go to additional options, the overflow, I'm going to say hidden. Now in this container, we're going to have inner containers. They are going to have different purposes to achieve this type of effect. So what we're going to start off with is if we go to the plus sign, we're going to add a new container. And this is going to be the pinning container to actually house the effect in. Now we're going to change the settings for this. We're going to change the content width to full width. The width, I'm actually going to turn it down to about an 80%. And then the last thing we have to do to this container is if we go to advanced, we are going to give this a custom class for CSS. And the one that we're going to be calling this is called pinned. Then just to keep track of everything inside this page, what I'm going to do is on the right hand side, this container that we're busy editing, this inner container, double click and just rename this to pinned container. You can call yours whatever you'd like. It's just to keep track of it when you're editing this page down the line. Now that we have the settings of this container all done, now I'm going to go and add an image to this container. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, I'm going to click on this image, drag it across until it's in the inner container, and I'm going to let go. I'm just going to go and select an image real quick. So I think this hamburger over here is quite cool. Let's select that. I'm going to put it to full. You can have whatever settings you want for your image resolution, but with me in this example, I'm just going to go with full. Under style, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the width is 100%, the max width is 100%, and then the height, I'm going to change this to VH. I'm going to set this to about a 65. The object fit, I'm going to say cover. I'm going to make sure that the position is center. Then if we go to border radius, then what I'm going to do is make it a 25. Then one of the last things we have to do to this image is if we go to advanced, I'm going to give this a custom CSS class, and it's going to be called my effect. Okay, so now that's that. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to start making a whole bunch of these type of containers. Now later in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how this works regardless of what is actually being called this my effects class name. So for right now, just to show the effect, I'm just going to be making a whole bunch of these pinned containers just with an image inside. Then later on, I'm going to change it up just to show you that you can put text or whatever you want inside this thing, and the effect's still going to work because we're just going to move this class name of my effect. Now that we have all these settings over here, what I'm going to do is right click on this pinned container, and I'm just going to duplicate it a couple of times. I think 5 pinned containers is pretty cool. Now we must just double check that the CSS class names are all correct. So remember that the pinned container that we had just edited, the CSS class name was pinned. I'm going to go to all the other containers, go to advanced, make sure it's pinned, advanced pinned, advanced pinned, and advanced pinned. Then inside each one, I'm going to make sure that each image is still called my effect. Click on this one, advanced, my effect. Okay, so now that I've checked all the classes, one of the last things that we're going to have to do is if we go to the very last pinned container, I'm actually going to change this name over here for a reason. So instead of pinned container, what I'm going to put in is say last pinned container. And then for the settings of this last container, I'm going to make sure I'm at advanced, and I'm going to change this class name to last-pinned. We have to do that to make sure the code actually works without any errors. Now that we have all our pinned containers, I'm just going to close them up over here on the right hand side. To make this all work, we are going to take the HTML widget, we're going to put it inside a container underneath this main section. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign, I'm going to look for the HTML widget. I'm going to click and drag that across. I think over here in the last container, I'm just going to let it go over here. It is going to be invisible, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to put in the code for this container. Now in the description of this video, there's going to be a link that's going to take you to a resource page on my website. And if we go to that website, this is going to be the code that you're going to be looking for. All we have to do is copy this code. We go back into the editor and we're going to paste it into this HTML code widget. Once we have done all that, all we're going to have to do is click on publish. Now if we take a look at this at the front end, here's our hero section, and as we scroll up, you can see that effect is taking place. Then the last thing we have to do is if we just have to change these type of images over here. They are all the same ones. Then we go and change these quick. So I'm going to click on the second one, select a different image, put it in. Third one, change the image. I'll go with this one here. Then the fourth, change the image. And then the last one, and there we go. Now if I click publish and we go review it, you can see all these images working pretty well, and this does work on mobile, so you don't have to worry about that. Now earlier in this tutorial I did say that this effect can work on anything. Now if we went to the second container as an example, now if we took out this image and we put it in a container with a whole bunch of text and other things. So in the second container, what we're going to do over here is we're going to change this image into a container with text and an image within it, and we're going to stylize it as a card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this image, I'm going to just delete it, I'm going to go to the plus sign, I'm going to go to container, I'm going to put in a container. Now we do need this inner container so that we can put in that other CSS class name. So this container, what we're going to do is I'm going to give it the same height as we had for these images. So I'm going to change it to VH, I'm going to put it to 65, and then under style I'm going to change the background color to this. I think that's fine over there. The border radius, I'm going to give it a 25 so it matches the images above. And then under advanced, what I'm going to do is under CSS classes, I'm going to call this my effects. So now if I go and publish and we see it in the front end, you can see that now this container is doing the same thing as what the images were before. So now we can go and put stuff within this container. So back in the editor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the layout to horizontal. And in here, I'm going to put in two containers. On the left container, I'm just going to put in a title or a heading. And then I'm going to put in the text editor. I'm going to click on this container, make sure that everything is centered. And then change the text color and heading to white. Then in the right container, I'm just going to go and put in an image. Let me just go and choose something quick. Let's go with this one over here. Say select. I want this to be full. I'm going to make it center justified. Then for the settings of this image, I'm just going to go over to style. I'm going to make sure that it's 100% full width. And then I'm going to go and give it a radius of 15. And then for its container, I'm also going to center justified. So I click that and just say justify. So now it's in the middle here. So now if I click publish, you can see in the front end as we scroll, there's that section that we just made, and it's working just like all the others. So you can see how this code can be used for anything else. You just have to remember that inside the pinned container, you're going to have a container that's going to house all your stuff. So right here in the editor, you can see there's the pinned container, and this second one over here is going to be the one that has the effects CSS class name. And then you can do whatever you want inside here. You can even put a contact form or buttons or anything, just really anything, because the effect will work. I hope you like this, and do feel like this effect that we have going on here is something that's really going to be different and unique, and I really hope that you guys use it in your future designs. I hope you liked this video. If you did, smash that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing as well. That stuff makes a big difference to a small channel like mine. If you have any suggestions or anything, then just put a comment down below. Let me see what I can do. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.